But one farmer says, seems to me there was a tea party in Boston that was illegal too.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold.
We shall seek to establish and maintain a dollar which will not change its purchasing and debt-paying power during the succeeding generation.
As anguished shrieks rose up from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange.
Government credit and government currency are really one and the same thing. A reserve of gold and a small reserve of silver.
So, and I said, well, what if it does happen? And he says, well, price will solve everything. I said, thanks, give me the gold.
Why do central banks hold it? Well, it's a form of reserves. So why don't they hold diamonds? Well, it's tradition, long-term tradition.
Well, some people still think it's money.
Almost missed it there. I wasn't paying attention. Welcome back to the Junius Maltby channel. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for being here. The extemporaneous ramblings of a madman, broadcasting live and unscripted here from the Junius Maltby bunker. We've got several stories, some things to look at, news pulled up, conversations that I've had with several of you, some around the world, correspondents in the field, dispatches from afar. Junius Maltby, what do I call it? I've had names for you guys, my field correspondents. There's a few. There's a few of you. We've been having some conversations today and discussing matters, things at hand. The world's in a state of chaos, and we're witnessing it firsthand. But I'd like to extend a welcome to all of my friends here in the chat, channel members, those with a coin after your name, those with exclusive access to content unseen, hidden, and secured. Give me a sound check. I got another complaint about the audio. I don't know what to do about it. I checked it yesterday. I even played the video back. It seemed loud enough on my end. If there's anything I can do to turn it up further, let me know. If it's good, then we'll call it. But welcome Kevin James Hanford, Root Dog, Gold Swan, Mike Hurley, Indentured Servant, let's see who else is in there. Buck 52,000. You're here all the time. You might not have a coin and be a channel member, but I'm going to welcome you anyway. MM126, James Richter in the house. Good to see you. Lou Sassel, Root Dog, I already got you. Spall Walker. A1, Meat Eater Kid. Bam. I'm glad that you guys don't have any bad names. Like sometimes people have a pretty a profane name, and I just can't read it out loud. Bam, good to see you. Who am I missing? Anyone? Red Dawn, good to see you as well. And Rick, you've been on this channel as long as I can remember. Even if you don't have a coin after your name, if you're not a channel member, you should be. I'm going to welcome you anyway, my friend. Good to see you. Welcome. I'm glad you're all here. Yes, we have the bowl-cut albino hobbit on the screen, laughing with a cackle and a hackle as she watches and witnesses firsthand her handiwork of the United States economy disintegrate and burn into the ground. Dust to dust. The title of today's video and rant, the extemporaneous ramblings that we are about to venture into, when the dollar is decomposing, right? When it's decomposing dust, gold and silver are all that remain. And it's in a state of decomposition. It is disintegrating. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Everyone's talking about inflation and this and that. They don't realize this is it. This is an empire disintegrating. This is going to be... before I forget, because I was driving around today doing some errands. I actually had to go to the doctor. Yeah, a good doctor. I just wanted to make sure, because I got this wicked cold recently. And I'm drinking tea. I'm healthy. I don't get sick like twice a year, but this is one of them. And I was like, I'll make sure it's nothing like strep or something. But I made my tea. I'm feeling great. It's just like a head cold. It's nothing big. But I was thinking of, I should pull it up. I got to read it to you. You're gonna love this. Let me find it for you. It was a comment. I can remember it. I'll just paraphrase. The gentleman, and I welcome debate and controversy. I welcome questioning. You should question everything. But he said, good luck. The comment was something, and you can find it was in yesterday's video, I believe. He said, good luck going to Walmart to spend your gold and silver. Okay, good luck. Good luck to me. Number one, I try to avoid Walmart. There's not a whole lot there that I want. And there's definitely not a whole lot there I'm willing to exchange gold and silver for. You want to wish a person like that good luck with their fiat position, because there will come a day where no amount of fiat will buy them any amount of goods and services, let alone gold and silver. It's hard to illustrate to someone of that mindset that the gold and silver we hold and we're holding is not really in order to acquire goods at a Walmart. And there will come a day where the merchant class, those selling goods, will do anything to compete to acquire perhaps our gold and silver, or what other vehicle of monetary valuation, whatever that language of value might be. If we can translate our gold and silver into some other form of unit, whatever it might be at that time, it will hold purchasing power and will be able to acquire goods. And I don't have to prove that because history has done that for me. The case is already there. There's 70 centuries or more of that being proven. Time and time again, empires rise, empires fall. I feel like I'm just beating this point to death all the time, but come on, look at it. Look at it for a moment. The amount of fiat currencies that have gone extinct, the average lifespan of them being 30 years, time and time again, gold and silver remains. It is the individuals that are clutching their fiat that is about to disintegrate in their own hands, that's turning into dust, that's decomposing. It will rot away. And just like the rotting dust of the corpses of the Roman Empire, only their gold and silver remain. I'm sure that Diocletian and some other emperors throughout history and tyrants and dictators that have tried to mandate things regarding the valuations of currencies and trying to issue certain types of fiat would love to threaten good luck using your gold and silver at, I don't know what it was, Guido's soup kitchen down the street in Rome. I don't know what they would have said back then, but they could wish them all the luck in the world. But who's laughing now? Who's dust and who still remains? The gold and silver of the Roman Empire remains to this very day. And yet their little fiat mandates, their papyrus scrolls with their words scribbled upon them, their corpses, all of it disintegrated, dust, decomposing, death, dead. That's where we'll be one day. I've thought of that many times. It's interesting to think about sometimes. Like, you are going to decompose. That's a fact. And yet, the metals that are about you, that's why you can't store your treasures in earth. You got to store your treasures in heaven. But while you're here, it is convenient to have some purchasing, some spending money, buy yourself some things. Hey, go buy yourself something nice, like a handgun or a nice edged weapon, some wool clothes or a leather belt, a pair of leather boots. Sometimes you need things to survive. So it's good to have a way to acquire those things, right? But eventually, these things disappear. They go away. But, gold, you look at it, and silver, time after time, decade, centuries, millennia, remains. It's here. It'll remain after. And it's hard to get people to grasp that point, isn't it? I don't know what the disconnect is sometimes. But let's get to the news. There's a lot of things we got to talk about. Sorry, I just thumped the mic with my finger as I was gesticulating with my hands. It's something Italians do. We talk with our hands. If you tied my hands up, there'd be no audio. This place would be mute. I was, again, like I said, discussing things with several correspondents, one in Texas, one in Australia, some in the United States. There's been some discussions going back and forth about what's taking place today. And one of the points that was brought up by two of my more educated than myself individuals, because they look at these things, and I'm bringing it up on the screen, just bear with me. Again, remember, I'm my own producer. Mrs. Maltby's taking a nap. I got to handle all the technology here. I got to do all this myself. There we go. US dollar, Japanese yen chart. We could scroll through. You can look at 1 year. You could look at the 6 months. But one thing we have noticed is the Japanese yen is about to explode. And over the last several years, it's been rising. It's been rising. Some people are looking at this as being a major domino of all the dominoes that could be tipping over, some of the dominoes knocking into each other into complex. It's like fourth dimension. They talk about fourth dimensional chess. We're playing like ninth dimensional dominoes here. There's a lot of dominoes. A lot of them are tipping over, and it's going to be a mess. But one of these dominoes, as we like to call it, would be the Japanese yen. Some are saying that the fact that the Japanese yen is about to explode, it's rippling through a lot of these economies, and some of the things that are boiling beneath the surface, they don't have the ability to buy the United States debt anymore. For years, the U.S. has been going to these pawn shops, the cokehead, the crackhead, the heroin junkie that it is, staggering down the street in its rags, pushing a shopping cart full of its garbage and wares. And as this transient nation, this zombie economy staggers down the trash-strewn sidewalks of this apocalyptic age we now live in, it has to pawn things. It has to take on loans and borrow. One of those lenders has been historically Japan, as you know. Well, they don't have the ability to buy back our debt anymore. In China, well, China's essentially saying F off. Get bent, get twisted. We're not making a whole lot of friends in the world scene anymore. Again, this is another reason why eventually all fiat dies, and only gold and silver survives. A friend of mine in Australia, a brilliant individual, friend of the channel here, as we were discussing this matter today, told me, he goes, 152 yen to the US dollar is a trigger point that starts large-scale yen carry trade reversals. Someone was going on about this 152 line in the sand for the Japanese. And this is what's coming. And we're getting really, really close to that 152 yen to US dollar. It's 151.66. It was 151.68 earlier today. So it's getting close. It's getting really close. We're going to look at another topic here that we were discussing. Where is it? The 10-year treasuries, yes. The 10-year treasuries. This is interesting, too, because they're going up. You see a little dip there on the screen, but I did pull it up. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Let me pull that all the way over here for you. Can you see it? Yeah, they're 435. We've talked about these and looked at them before. And normally when the treasuries are rising like this, you might see a little weight on gold. It's an incentive. Some of the investing class or some of those who want guaranteed returns at a certain rate, they'll kind of flock towards those 10-year treasury notes. So we see 10 years rising, right? They're going up again. As a matter of fact, where's the chart? Did I have a chart? I thought I had a chart of them. Where's my 10-year chart? And you can see it there. There's my 1 day. Let's go to my, can I get a 6 month up there? There we go. 6 month. Here's my 3 year. There's a 3 year. I mean, you can see it's been rising for a while. Took a little dip there back in December. We saw it when it was way up there at 492. We were even talking about it then. When it first breached 4, there was a lot of conversation. And then it started dipping. Moving on from October towards, where did it bottom out at here? We're looking at like December, mid-December. It looks like December Eve. It's been climbing out of that. December Eve, it was like 388. Since then, it's been rising, and now we're back at the 435 zone. Trying to incentivize and encourage lending, right? The U.S. is peddling hat in hand, trying to get loans, trying to get money, trying to get people to buy these treasuries. And it's just not working. The incentive's not there. People, again, why would you buy treasuries and lock up wealth for 10 years at a 4% rate? Why would you? When you know, and these people aren't stupid, they know what the true inflation rates are. Massive, right? Much more than what we're told. And gold and silver at the same time that treasury rates are rising are going up. I want you to just kind of wrap your head around that for 1 second. It's good. It's a key point here. Gold and silver are going up at the same time as treasuries. So what's going down? What's going down? Fiat, the dollar. It's being debased and devalued. It doesn't matter what the dollar. I don't care about the dollar index anymore. Really, it's to me, it's kind of like I don't know. It's like the Wizard of Oz. Don't pay attention to the guy behind the curtain type of a thing. It doesn't mean anything anymore. Because everything you look at, I mean, even little basic bitches on Instagram and TikTok, they make these videos about their shopping carts going to Costco. I mean, I saw one recently, some video clip somewhere someone sent to me. You can't go to Costco anymore without spending $300. You have like 3 things in your cart. It's like $300. People are going broke. Grocery stores. You look at what people can buy, what they spend, and what they get for it. We've got shrinkflation. You've got Pocahontas out there, Elizabeth Warren, slamming her fist on a desk saying she's going to crack down on these greedy merchants who are putting less chips and cookies in the bags. As if that's the problem. You got Empress Pocahontas Diocletian out there. She's going to come up with the edict for the maximum prices. And hers is going to be the edict for the maximum chips in the bag. I'm just waiting for her to come up with it. Come on, Pocahontas, make an edict. Declare it. You will put no less than 12 ounces of Doritos in a bag and no less than 24 Oreos in a package. Henceforth decreed by myself. That's the battle she's fighting. That's the hill she's going to go perish upon. It's true. It's the same psychology. She's completely disconnected. She's a lunatic. She doesn't get it. Nobody does. Nobody in there gets it. Remember, the only thing that's required to get these idiots in office is 51% of the vote. 50%. 50% of the vote. That's it. So you get and then think of it. What was his name again? Great comedian. My mind can't come up with it. What's his? Anyways, he's the one that said, you know who I'm talking about here in a minute. You'll know when I say the quote. He goes, think of how dumb the average person is. Half of them are dumber than that. That's all you got to realize. That's all you got to think about. To realize that democracy is completely flawed, doesn't work. It's broken. It's completely broken. You got all these idiots that vote these people in office, and then they come up with things like, we need to put more chips in the bag. That's how she's going to solve the economic problem. George Carlin, Tempest got it. Yep. Ray Finkel's got it. James Richter's got it. Carlin. You guys got it. You nailed it. Thank you. Thank you for that. I could picture his face, and I just couldn't remember for a second there. Yeah, think of how dumb the average person is. Half of them are dumber than that, and they vote. Even the dead ones. It's crazy. The system is sound. It really is. It's intense. It's intense. It truly is intense. And these are the people in charge. These are the people in charge. While this is happening, while this is burning down around us, as they burn down the house and loot the treasury, they're trying to figure out how they can put more chips in a bag or more cookies in a package. This is a real tweet that she did. I didn't pull it up. I probably should have. You're just going to have to trust me on this one. This is a real topic of conversation today. This is news. This is out there. There was articles about this. Pocahontas Diocletian Empress wants to make the manufacturers and these people put more chips in bags. That's the part of the economic warfare front that she's operating on. That's where she's at. That's what she's doing today. That's her business. And then we got J-Pow. J-Pow, my friend. What are you doing? I saw a headline today. I'm trying to see. Did I pull it up here? He used the word accelerating. Somebody did. Somebody used the word accelerate in reference to the inflation, that it's accelerating. Did you hear me? They're using the word. They're using our word. They're using it. Accelerate. They said it, not me. Remember when there was a thing, they put a big thing out to look for extremists and stuff, for people that used that word. Anyone who used the word accelerate was like a radical, right? You were like a radical insurrectionist. Oh my goodness. They're using the word accelerate. They're standing by as everything goes to shit, and they don't even care. Like you committed a crime through apathy. By making popcorn and sitting down on the sidelines and watching these buffoons burn down an empire, you've somehow done something wrong or treasonous. By encouraging them. Encourage them, really, yeah. I've heard about it. You've heard people say, vote Democrat. It'll burn it down faster. Accelerate. Well, they actually used the word accelerate to describe inflation. It's off the rails. There's multiple articles today. I didn't pull them all up because guess what? You already know. Why do I have to do that for, huh? Let me take a sip of this tea. Give me a break. On the tea thing, I got to mention, I tried to think about it when I was making my tea this afternoon. It's a British afternoon tea or whatever. I tried to think, when did I start drinking tea in the afternoon? I can't remember. Like, what clicked? What did one day I woke up and I'm like, I'm going to start watching birds garden. Well, I've always been gardening, but I'm going to start making tea in the afternoon. I don't know. Maybe I just became more civilized. I don't know what it is, but it's good tea and I enjoy it. It's a mild tea. It's very good. It's very good flavor to that tea. All right. Fed's Powell emphasizes need for more evidence that inflation is easing before cutting rates. Jay Powell, let me give you a tip here. Let me give you a little hint. It's not. You should read Dying of Money, chapter 28. We talked about it on this channel. Back when you said it was transitory, my friend, it wasn't. All right? And you probably knew that. I'm going to pretend you were being a little facetious, maybe a little dishonest. Maybe you were told to say that. But remember that? We called them on the carpet. You remember we were talking about inflation before they were talking about it? And then when they started talking about it, what did they say? What'd they say? They said it was, it's temporary. A couple months, it'll be out of the way. It's over. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Hey, go about your business. Don't worry about it. It's okay. It's transitory. It's a big word. I learned it. It's a word that I learned. I learned that word. And then they were told, we can't use the word transitory anymore. This is like 2 years ago, because it's probably sticking around. And it is. And now they're using the word accelerating. And it is. I saw it in a headline today. I don't think I pulled it up. We'll check. We'll see as we go forward. Federal Reserve Chairman Jay Powell said Wednesday it will take a while for policymakers to evaluate the current state of inflation, keeping the timing of potential interest rate cuts uncertain, speaking specifically about stronger than expected price pressures to start the year. The central bank leader said he and his fellow officials are in no rush to ease monetary policy. That's because they're freaking out. This is what freaking out looks like. On inflation, it is too soon to say whether the recent readings represent more than just a bump, Powell said in remarks ahead of a question and answer session at Stanford University. Isn't that where Samuel Bankman-Fried's mom teaches economics at Stanford? I think there's a connection there. SBF, Samuel Bankman-Fried. Root Dog, thanks for the super chat, my friend. Good to see you. We do not expect that it will be appropriate to lower our policy rate until we have greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably down toward 2%. That's never going to happen. Okay, so what that tells me is either they're going to lie about the numbers, they're going to have to, because here's the deal, it's not going to 2%. They would have to do a massive burn. They'd have to literally pull 80% of the money out of the economy, 50%. They'd have to burn it. You'd have to see huge bonfires of dollars. They'd have to find all those pallets they send to Israel, to Egypt, to the Middle East, all over, to Afghanistan, to Iraq. They'd have to find all those pallets of cash, all the pallets they give their cronies in the Defense Department. They'd have to find all that COVID stimulus that they flooded the world with, and they'd have to burn it all. Then they'd have to go into their computers and delete tons of zeros. One by one, just delete that zero, that one, that one. They'd have to move the decimal over 20 places. It's not going to happen. Are they going to do that? No. There's no way they will. It'd be too painful. I don't think we're going to see them move the interest. So either they're going to just come up with monetary policy that's eased, and essentially come up with quantitative easing or lowering rates and make money easier and cheaper to get, or they're just going to lie about it. They don't have a lot of choices here. They're talking about a bumpy path, though. A bumpy path. What does that even mean? A bumpy path? Let's zoom in on that. What does that mean, a bumpy path? Markets widely expect the FOMC to start easing policy this year, though they have had to recalibrate their outlook for the timing and extent of cuts as inflation is held stubbornly higher. Other economic variables, particularly in the labor market and consumer spending, have held up as well, giving the Fed time to assess the current state of affairs before moving. The Fed's preferred inflation measure, the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, showed a 12-month rate of 2.5% for February, or 2.8% for the pivotal core measure. That excludes food and energy. Virtually all other inflation gauges show rates in excess of 3%. And they're so much higher than that. It's 3, 4, 5 times that. 15 to 18%. And there's other problems. There's bigger problems. We've got the election ahead. They're going to do stuff just try to make that, it's all about the votes, how they can get their guy in there. Here it is, David Einhorn. This is where I saw the word. Here's another word. There it is, re-accelerating. It's part of the word accelerate. We'll give it that. And this article's locked. But the point is, David, you guys know David. We've quoted him before. We've read articles where he's on here before. But David Einhorn thinks inflation is reaccelerating and has made gold a very large position. A very large position. This was out today. On top of central banks. Here we go. Let me try to find this one, get it up there. Screen, another headline for you. Central banks buy 19 tons of gold in February. Purchases slow. That's slow. That's a slow day, I guess. That's a slow month for the central banks. Central banks buy 19 tons of gold in February. Purchases slow but remain healthy. World Gold Council. Central bank gold demand continues to dominate the marketplace even as the pace of purchase slows. According to the latest data from the World Gold Council, global central banks' gold reserves increased by 19 tons. 19 tons last month. However, purchases were down 58% compared to January. So think of that. They buy 19 tons, and it's almost 60% less than the month before. I got to do some math here. Don't worry, I can do this. I'm not that dumb. Let's do calculation here. 1.58 times 19 equals, that means they bought 30 tons the month before, approximately. See, 19, however, purchase, yeah, that would be 1.58 times 19. However, looking beyond the headline figures, Krishan Gopal, senior market analyst at the World Gold Council, said that central bank gold demand remains healthy in the early months of 2024. On a year-to-date basis, central banks report the addition of 64 tons over January and February, 43% lower than the same period in 2023. These guys are gobbling gold up. And you have to understand, the reason they might not be buying as much sometimes is because the price is rising. It might be more difficult for them to acquire it. And supplies. I would imagine that it's not available forever. There's a list of nations in here, like the Czechs, the Chinese, People's Bank of China, yes, Uzbeks. Central Bank of Japan saw its reserves fall by 4 tons. Look like Japan's in some trouble. If they're selling gold and their currency's going to heck, there's some issues going on in Japan. Keep your eye on it. Some analysts have said that the central bank gold purchases are a major factor behind gold's latest run above 2,300. Well, that would make sense. They're gobbling up the supply. There's less of it. Typically, when people buy a lot of something and it's a very small amount of it that exists, the price is going to shift and move. That's basic economics. Supply-demand curves intersect to dictate price. Is that not right? Am I wrong there? Hold on, I got to cough in a second. Speaking of gold purchases, I'm not going to go into too much detail to keep their privacy private. But a contact of mine lives several hours away. Did a pretty significant gold purchase recently. And in discussing it in my own head, yes, I have conversations with myself. I was doing the math because if I'm not mistaken, and you guys can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but isn't it, we've heard in the past and read and assessed that there's like 100-to-1 paper to physical ratios, supposedly. Some might even say higher. But if you do the math on just every ounce this individual purchased, they ended up pulling a significant sum of gold off the market physically for physical delivery. And that that's going to ripple through the entire system. And the system cannot sustain that. Even at the retail level, even at our level, some of you shared in the comments even yesterday and in the comments underneath the video, your own news gathering, your reconnaissance as you reconnoitered your LCS. And as you guys reconned your local coin stores, you reported here supplies are getting tight. One of you messaged that there was only 2/10, one was approved, 2/10 of gold in an entire local coin store. That's it. That means there was no gold there. None. It's getting harder to get in some places, in some venues, to acquire physical gold. And that's going to occur. Again, it's all part of that timeline. This is what we're going to see transpire. At some point, remember, at some point, and at some stage in all of this, no amount of fiat, no amount of decomposing dust fiat, leper currency, will acquire any amount of physical metal. That's really the only point you have to understand here. So this friend of mine did a significant purchase in gold. He's been a long-time gold holder, and he decided to just make another purchase, so he did. I'm sure other people out there, he's not the only one, he can't be. This is this psychology that's rippling through the masses of people who know and are aware of it, like many of you here in the chat. It's systemic. It's not going to be isolated. And this is the mainstream hasn't even woke up to this yet. There's people who have no concept. They don't know where to get gold. They've never considered it. They don't even want to, and they won't. It'll go to the end. It'll go to the point where you can't get it, and they still won't, and they won't care, and that's okay. They're the type of people that just gets pushed to the side, and history forgets them. They get buried. It's like that scene in Troy, right? That's why history will not remember your name. You didn't buy gold. If you didn't buy gold, that's why history will forget you. You're just going to be another corpse. You're just going to be another plebe, another knave, another peasant that gets erased, that gets buried. You're just another statistic. You won't acquire land. Not that that's all that's important, but let's just put it, history will forget your name. Unless you do something else great. You won't be remembered. Those of you who are awake to this and acquiring metals, you're setting yourself up for dynastic wealth preservation over time. You see this. You know where this is going, and you've been preparing for it. Today is not your hour. Tomorrow might not even be your hour. But your hour is coming. Your hour is coming. Here's another piece here, and I don't. This was an kind of an, what do you call it? An advertising thing, an investing outlook. Wants to lead you to another paid article thing that I'm not going to, but a former Goldman Sachs vice president warns that gold's final bull market's just begun. I don't know how he says that. Like, what do you mean final? Gold's going to have whatever bull markets it wants, even when our civilization's gone. This isn't the final bull. Gold exists in a permanent bull market. Yes, a permanent bull market because it always adjusts itself to the dying fiat around it. It is the constant. It is money. Everything else is just credit. It is the true language of value. All transactions ultimately settle in it. It doesn't have a final bull market. It's just going to keep going as other things die off. Talks about the Fed and the biggest story in finance playing out behind the scenes, how the wealthiest billionaire investors and the elite central bankers, all this, and the gold army's talking about urgent warning comes in the wake of the world's financial elite stockpiling more gold. This is the part I wanted to get to, this little highlight part. World's financial elite are stockpiling more gold than any other time in human history. Before the great outbreak, I was discussing and pointing to you guys data that revealed that central banks and the wealthy elites on this planet were stockpiling gold at the greatest rate that we've ever seen. And not only were they stockpiling and buying gold, they were taking physical delivery of it, which was a huge move for them. It was a major shift in their psychology and in their movements. They were no longer just buying paper. They were taking delivery of that metal, taking it off the market, holding it physically. Abdiel Lawrence, my friend, thanks for the super chat and good to see you. He goes, the value-added tax, VAT, may go up on silver in Germany to 20% in 2025. My dealer in Degussa in Frankfurt said they are low on silver eagles. So there you have it. Low on silver eagles in Germany. Prices rising, supplies diminishing, availability of metals dwindling. Gold is on track to hit 2,400 this year. It's probably going to hit that sooner than later. It might even surpass it. I mean, we're on course now to do some pretty amazing things with metals. I mean, gold has been pumping, and silver woke up a little bit, as you guys saw. We'll try to, I think I have that. I do. I have silver pulled up, and I also have some silver discussion coming up here shortly. Gold's on track to hit 2,400 this year, less dependent on Fed rate cuts. Bank of America chiming in. Bank of America was one of the bullish banks on gold heading into 2024, and everything they have seen this year has only added to their conviction. In a note published Tuesday, commodity analysts led by Michael Widmer reiterated their call for gold prices to push to $2,400 an ounce this year. In December, Widmer said that he was expecting a gold rally when the Federal Reserve actually started cutting interest rates. That stance has only changed slightly. I think gold, if they do end up cutting rates at any point, you're going to see gold explode. I would imagine, because we all know what's really going on behind the scenes. It could hit $2,400 an hour. But while you're sleeping, it could do it. We had previously proposed $2,400. What did I do? I did a poll at the beginning of this year asking you all where you thought gold might end up, and I think we're going to pass 2,500. We might be knocking on 3,000's door by the end of this year. It's very possible. Very, very possible. Triple-digit day moves. $100 here, $200 there, $300 here, $300 there. Yeah, it's possible. We had to previously propose 2,400. Bank of America's bullish outlook comes as the precious metal has made significant gains in the last month, establishing record highs on top of record highs. June gold futures last traded at $23.15 an ounce, up 1.5% on the day. Thank you for the super chat, E.W. Fisher. He goes, I'm sitting here listening to you while holding all of my gold. Not much, only 4 sovereigns. I need to find room in my budget for more. Good man. It's a good decision. You won't go wrong there, EW. You won't go wrong there. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the generosity, my friend. Bank of America bullish. Since mid-February lows, just above $2,000 an ounce, gold prices have rallied more than 15%. 15%. Gold has rallied even as the U.S. dollar and bond yields, we mentioned this earlier, trade at elevated levels. Gold's rally has not only defied long-standing relationships in the marketplace, but prices have ticked higher as Western investors have largely ignored the precious metal. One point that's interesting to look at and of note, there were some articles about how this is the first time over a broad period of time, like a measure of a month or whatever it was, that gold was in a constant state of a bull run rising, and at the same time Bitcoin was dropping. This is the first time since the two have cohabitated that occurred, supposedly. I didn't go back to look, but there was a bunch of articles referencing that. And if that's the case, that's something to note as well. That's something to note. Again, nations buying, central banks buying, China's buying, gold price hitting records, gold price smashing. Gold price hits new record highs as the West loses price-setting powers. Frank Giestra and Pierre Lassonde on the new geopolitical reality and resource nationalism article. About that, the world has not woken up. This is the part I want to get to here. Giestra and Lassonde warn in the new geopolitical reality of resource nationalism, Canada failing its economy and citizens, with gold futures hitting another record high above 2264 at the start of the second quarter. Giestra, however you pronounce the name, I think it's Giestra, and Lassonde pointed to a major shift in the gold market. The world hasn't woken up yet. That's a point we always bring up. No one's woke up to this yet. The masses are not here yet. And you want to be here before them, for sure. The marginal buyer of gold is no longer the U.S. It's no longer Europe. It's China. For years, I've been discussing the flow of gold to the East and China being huge buyers. Between the country's central bank and the Chinese public, China takes up over 2/3 of all the annual production. They are the new marginal buyer. That's where the gold price is set. Lassonde told Michelle Macari, lead anchor and editor-in-chief at Kitco News, during Kitco Insights Interactive Mining Titans Power Panel. BRICS Plus, which now includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the UAE, United Arab Emirates, can get up one morning and say they're going back to back their collective new currency with gold, which they can now set to create more credit and reserves, Giestra pointed out. A coordinated move by BRICS Plus against the U.S. dollar could lead to violent results. No one wants war, but here's the problem. The U.S. is facing an existential threat. It's a national security issue, Giostra said, if there's a sudden move towards replacing the U.S. dollar, and remember, we live in a multipolar world now, the dollar's falling. Everyone knows it. And remember, it's currency wars, trade wars, shooting wars. We're moving in a certain direction, and you know where it ends up. Okay, so a sudden move towards replacing the U.S. dollar, meaning perhaps a BRICS announcement of a new currency backed by gold, I think then it would react quite violently. Giostra also outlined the top geopolitical risks of 2024, and that's all in the video up there. All right, those were the key points of that I wanted to bring into today's discussion. And then I wanted to take a look again at silver, which hit a 52-week high. Let's refresh that real quick, make sure we're still there. 27.06, 52-week high on silver today. Rocketing upwards, breaking 27. So silver's doing some stuff. It's finally making some moves. It's up 7.78%. 1 year change. Year to date, though, check this out. 11.56. 11.56%. Silver could stop right here and rest on its laurels, and it will have outperformed many indexes and different funds and places that people have target goals of trying to get like 7 or 8%. It's sitting at 11.5% year to date. Silver's done pretty well for itself. It's doing pretty good. It's doing pretty good. Let's see. I wish I could read that comment. I can't see it because there's a thing in the way. Let me see here. Yeah, there it is. Abidabai. He says silver price is nearly 222% from 20 years ago. Yeah. It's doing great. Doing great over time. Wealth preservation over time. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you go to 5 year, and that's when we get that little side. See here, we're stuck here, a little sideways, but it's coming out of that. Look at all. It's rising up. It's rising out of it. It's got a lot of catching up to do, but when it does, it's going to be violent. Remember, it's almost like silver when it pumps last, but when it does, it pumps the hardest. When it goes, it goes. You've seen it. We've all seen it. It just goes. It's unstoppable. It's like you can't even get after it. Let's go real quick here. Unchanged. Okay. And here was the article I wanted to show you guys on silver real quick. Interesting piece here from Keiko. Silver squeeze is coming back. Hashtag silver squeeze coming back. Stocks could be depleted in 2 years. What does that mean? There's a lot of focus on gold right now as prices push to within striking distance of 2,300. However, one bank is telling investors that silver is the metal to watch. After underperforming gold in the last month, as the yellow metal hit record high after record high, silver has now started to move. The gold-silver ratio has dropped sharply to 87.6 points on Tuesday, but still has a very long way to go before hitting last month's low at 85 points, much less the historical average in the 50s. It was almost 90-1 recently. Unknown Soldier 41, thank you for the super chat, good friend, and Shuffle Silver, same to you. Thank you as well. Thank you both for the super chats. Unknown Soldier, let's see. Oh man, let's celebrate. Let's see. Let's celebrate their 10th super on live stream. That's from Shuffle Silver. Thank you, my friend. And Unknown Soldier says, found that one of the accounting ladies at my work also stacks. We discussed metals, brass, and food for an hour and a half. She buys locally and found a spot that is selling for $21 per ounce. Well, I would go there and I would gobble all of that up immediately. Grab it. Gobble it up. Gobble it up. Especially for 21 an ounce. Yeah, silver's gold ratio is kind of narrowing. Right? It's falling a little bit. I mean, it was up at the 90 range. Now we're seeing at 87.49. I think the lowest I've ever seen it. It's been what? When was it? 30 to 40 to 1 back in the 2010, was it? I don't remember. 2009. May silver futures are currently trading at $25.93 an ounce, up more than 3% on the day. Analysts note that critical resistance at 26 could trigger a big move for the precious metal. When was this out? This was April 2nd. Well, we breached those levels today. Yeah, we did. And one of the reasons silver has underperformed gold is because supposedly central banks don't buy it, that they reveal. They don't tell us they buy it. They might. We don't know. Who knows what they do? But gold remains the ultimate monetary metal in the global financial markets, making it the go-to safe haven asset in a world of uncertainty and volatility. However, silver's strength comes from its industrial demand, which represents more than 50% of the physical market, which is significant. But I think also historically, I mean, you have to pay attention to its history, and we've done that here many times. Silver markets may be set up as the most exciting trade in the energy transition theme across the entire commodities complex today, Ghali said in his latest research note. The energy transition is the decade's investment zeitgeist, and implications for silver are often overlooked. We've often talked about that. He says it expects industrial silver demand to increase 4% this year to a record 690 million ounces, as demand for solar energy and electric vehicles remain critical pillars of support within the global green energy transition. We'll see how that works out for him. Believe me, I don't buy silver because of the green movement. Not at all. I buy it because it's money. It will be, I think it's going to catch up for many reasons, because it is a good place for people to go when gold is becoming too expensive, and a lot of people do like silver for that reason. They do like to take positions in silver when gold becomes extremely hard to come by and the price gets prohibitive. It's also easy to move. Silver for smaller goods and services and smaller transactions. That's historically why silver's been such a good option for humanity as far as a form of money. That's why it's circulated so much more so than gold at the street level and peer-to-peer spending. Every great civilization since the beginning of time has utilized it as coin alongside gold. But that's it for today's discussion, my friends. That was it. That's all I had for you. That's all I had for you guys. I want to talk about this stuff, tell you that, hey, you're doing the right thing. The dollar's decomposing. Don't let people tell you otherwise. Who cares if you can't go to Walmart yet with your gold and silver? I wouldn't worry about it. You've got other things you can do. Grow your own food. Secure yourselves, your resources, your assets. Keep hunkered down. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing the right thing, and you're right. I mean, you were on this before. You were on this before many were. And look at this headline over here. Solar demand to continue to push silver price higher. This is when markets could see $100 silver. Hecla Mining. I absolutely think we could see $100 silver. And I think during this next run we will. I think during this next march upward, I think silver is going to start ticking away at some records. We're going to start seeing things happen. And it's probably going to freak some people out. It really will. The squeeze will get tight. There's going to be problems in the physical market or the paper market with physical delivery. There's going to be some issues. COMEX might have a hard go. Keep grabbing it. Keep taking it off the market. Just keep doing what you do. Remember, the raid never ends. The raid never dies. You can raid and raid again. And I encourage you to consistently to continue raiding, taking silver off the market. We should do, and we will do a raid here at some point again. I just haven't had time to plan one. I just haven't. Haven't been able to do it. Too busy. Too much going on. You're lucky I'm lucky that I had time to even sit down and do this video today. I'm glad I did. Yes, Bam. Legio X Fretensis. Liege X Fret. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that. All right, my friends. That is it for today's broadcast here on the Junior Small P channel. Please hit the like. Hit the thumbs up. Help me with the algorithms. And if you're so kind, share the video. Post it someplace else. Get the word out. Help the channel grow. I think I lost a lot of subscribers this week, because I said some things. I offended them. But that's good. I didn't want them here. I kind of do that on purpose sometimes. It's like shedding the bad blood or the dead skin cells. You know, it's like a cleansing. Every once in a while I need to purge certain people that are not as, ideologically aligned with what the mission is here, what we're trying to do, where we're going. All right? This is an ideological battlefield. And the ideology of sound money is not for all. Some people don't see the connections. They don't want to touch the third rail. They don't want to venture into certain arenas where we go. And that's okay. To them, I say leave. I didn't even know you were here, honestly. And you will not be missed. And with that, my friends of the Junior Small B channel, have a good night. Be well, keep stacking, accelerate, add to your stack. Go forth and raid. Be well, all of you, and thank you all for your support of this channel, being part of the Junior Small B channel all of this time, all of these years. Until next time, have a good one.